Hello and welcome to 100 Yards of Football Sports Talk Radio. I'm your producer this morning, Logan Landers. And joining me to talk about Justin Fields, the brand new quarterback for the Chicago Bears, and if he's going to make a big impact in 2021, is my man, Mr. Football, Vincent Turner. How you doing this morning, Vincent?
Hey, how you doing this morning, sir?
Can't complain one bit. Always love talking football on Monday morning. And hey, if you guys enjoy this video, please be sure to like, comment, and share. Check us out on our YouTube page, our Facebook page. We got a lot of really good interaction over there with the fans who've been making a lot of good comments on our previous draft videos we've done. We appreciate all the love and support you guys have been saying. And also go check out our podcast as well, where we upload daily episodes. You can listen to our episodes. They're around 15 minutes to an hour, just depending on the topic. We have great like I mentioned, draft profiles, team previews are going to be coming up soon. We got amazing legends interviews. We have a lot of good content over there, so please go check us out and be sure to give us a download. So, hey, Vincent, let's get right into this. We're talking about Justin Fields, the brand new QB for the Chicago Bears. Yeah, he's out of Kennesaw, Georgia, so we got a little bit of love for him here when we film out of the Atlanta metro area. So what do you think about Justin Fields, and how do you think he's going to do on the Chicago Bears squad?
When I think about Justin Fields, I get excited. I think when you're looking overall in the 2021 NFL draft, I think we talk about Trevor Lawrence as being the best prospect, and I respect that. But when you look at overall athletic ability, a guy that's battled through adversity, a guy that rides in big games, and like I said, I saw him play at Harrison High School in Kennesaw, Georgia, as a true sophomore, on a football team that literally didn't have anything. He wheeled that team to victories back in Cobb County. This young man, to me, is one of the most special players to come into the National Football League. And it just blows my mind as I sit here. How did he fall in the draft? But you know what? The Chicago Bears is my father's favorite football team. How you doing, Dad? Down there in Memphis, Tennessee, Chester Turner. And he fell into a perfect situation. And Matt Nagy, the head coach, and Ryan Pace, the GM, y'all just saved y'all job. Don't worry about it. Y'all taking Mitch Trubisky 4 years ago, they didn't work out. But this young man is going to make y'all believers. And he's going to make something special down there in the Windy City. I'm going to throw some names out there that's been some of the greatest players in the Chicago Bears history. Willie Gallimore, Dan Hampton, Bill George, Bulldog Turner, Khalil Mack, Mike Singletary, Richard Dent, Tennessee State finalist, and of course Dick Buckus, and a young man from Columbia, Mississippi by way of Jackson State, Mr. Walter Payton. When we look back on this, and I hope I still be alive, that Justin Fields is going to be in that realm of all those great names I just named as all the greatest players that's played with the Chicago Bears in their football history. Now, I'm 60 years old. I'll be 61 July 17th. And when I look at this young man, he stepped up on every situation. He went to the University of Georgia as a 5-star prospect. Didn't get to play because they had another guy in front of him by the name of Jake Fromm, who last year got drafted by the Buffalo Bills in the 5th round. But at this moment, he might not be coming back into the National Football League. Justin Fields said, you know what? I'm not going to get mad. I'm not going to get upset. So he transfers to Ohio State. In 2 years, 5,300 yards, 63 touchdowns, 9 INTs, 867 yards rushing. His first year as a sophomore, third in the Heisman, 41 touchdowns, 3 INTs. He comes back this year. Okay, I'm looking at it like this. Ohio State doesn't play in October. He has not a real good game against Indiana. He throws 3 picks, and all of a sudden I hear the blue blood saying that he might be taking a step back. Then he goes into the Big Ten championship game, and he struggles. But a lot of people don't understand he had Ohio State had 25 players out. He had all his receiving core that didn't play in that game. He played with true freshmen. And I heard somebody say, Justin Fields need to come back to school because right now I have him as a second-round pick. I heard a guy say this on a national radio show. National. But you know what? On the biggest stage, big moments, the pressure on him. He went against Trevor Lawrence now, who we just got through talking about how he going to make an impact in Jacksonville. But what did Justin Fields do? All I know is this. He made every throw. He made every read. 22 or 28, 385 yards, 6 touchdowns, and the ball didn't even touch the ground. We call that back in my hometown, we call that not touching the ground. We call that being a big man in a big yard. But this is what I like about Justin Fields. He went to a perfect situation. And look at the talent he got around him. David Montgomery is going to be that guy. The third-year guy at Iowa State at the running back position. Take Cohen. Even though he got hurt, he's coming off ACL. I guarantee you, as we talk right now, he's working hard to get back. But look at the wide receiver core. I'm going to call it the 4x100 in the NFC North. Allen Robinson last year put up 102 receptions, 1,290 receiving yards. Think about what he played with last year. Mitch Trubisky struggled. Nick Foles was up and down. He got to be saying, man, I'm in the twilight of my career. The money is going to come. Allen Robinson's a 4-4 guy. They went out and got Demary Bird out of New England. He's a 4-2-8 guy. They signed Marquise Goodwin out of Texas by way of San Francisco, 4-2-8 guy. Oh, my God. They got one of the best underrated receivers in the game. Go look at the North Carolina game film. Mr. Dash Newsome. And they still got Jimmy Graham.
Yeah.
And we know what he did in New Orleans, in Seattle, in Green Bay. And they got my man, I hope he still be on the roster, out of the 901, third-year guy, Anthony Miller, Orange Mountains, finest, University of Memphis. So this guy right here, Justin Fields, he's going into a situation. And you know what? They always talk about the wins out there in Chicago during the October, November, December months. That's no problem. He's got the arm strength to make all the throws. This young man, you talking about a player that's coming with a chip on his shoulder? The National Football League is going to see something that's never been seen. A young man that's going to come, and he might, when we all say and done, he might be the most impact player in this year's draft. I know right now Aaron Rodgers is kind of waving the fence to staying in Green Bay. I hope he stays because then you're going to have competition at a high level between Chicago and Green Bay. But if he leaves, there's no question in my mind Justin Fields is going to be the best quarterback in the draft. So you're looking at a young man that said the same thing when he was at the University of Georgia, when he had to leave there. I ain't calling no names today, but they said he hasn't had time to learn the offense. When he went over to Ohio State, Woody Hayes, the 68 Buckeyes, and you saw he did his thing. I love this young man. I think he's going to be a special player, and I can't wait when he gets on the field in Chicago. And when it's all said and done, he's going to go down in history as some of the greatest players that played in Chicago. And let me throw the young man out of Omaha, Nebraska, North High School, Garrett Sayers. I'm waiting for the National Football League season for this young man out of Kennesaw, Georgia, by way of Harrison High School, by way of the Ohio State.
This guy is one word, Vincent. Impressive. Impressive. I love what he did at Ohio State. I think that him and Trevor Lawrence, like you mentioned, they're the top 2 quarterbacks in terms of talent-wise who are pro-ready in this draft. I loved what the young man did with the Ohio State guy. Give some love this morning. And I think he's really going to help out the Chicago Bears. I was shocked when I was watching the NFL draft to see this young man slide so much. He got picked at 11. That's only because the Bears traded up to get him. Because let's not forget, going into the season, the Bears thought they were going to go with Andy Dalton as their quarterback. Andy Dalton, seasoned veteran. He knows the game inside and out, played for your team, the Dallas Cowboys, the previous season. But I think that if you can I think that was a good pickup, though. I think that if you can get Justin Fields in the war room with Andy Dalton, who's been through a lot in the NFL, he's going to soak it up like a sponge. And he's really going to help out that Chicago Bears team, who, like you said, Allen Robinson, one of the most, I think, underrated wide receivers, and that's just because he plays for the Chicago Bears. They don't get that much media love. But he's got all the talent in the world. And what even more can you say about that defense? Terrorizing opposing offenses for years to come. Khalil Mack, hey, like you know, Vince, I am a Raiders fan. I was sad to see him go. Happy to see him doing good in Chicago. But I think that Bears defense is special. If they can keep things going for a year or two, maybe more, man, we'll see how much the Bears can improve. But I love this pickup by Justin Fields. Just looking over their draft a little bit, they also helped him out on the offensive line. They picked up the young man out of Oklahoma State, Tevin Jenkins, who I think is going to have a good career on the O-line for the Bears as well. And I think that overall, I think Justin Fields is going to dominate one day in the NFL. He's got everything you want in a quality wide receiver. And we have a comment here from a young man named Dave on our YouTube channel saying this young man could be a star for the Bears. There's no doubt. There's no doubt, Dave, that Justin Fields is going to be a star, I think. He's got everything you want. Mr. Turner listed off all of his impressive stats at the Ohio State. What more can you say? He's got a good set of pieces around him on that offense. He's got a better offensive line. He's got a good defense. The Bears might make some moves this offseason, man. They might make some moves in this upcoming 2021 NFL season. Like you said, I'm with you, Vincent. Whenever this young man steps onto the field, I'm going to be sitting down with a bucket of popcorn and watching this young man go to work because it's going to be a laser show, him throwing the ball all over the field. And it would not surprise me one bit. I mentioned earlier Trevor Lawrence that he's looking like the outright pick for the Rookie of the Year. I could definitely see him and Justin Fields battling it out for that Rookie of the Year spot. And we'll see. At the end of the day, there's still a lot of football left to be played between all the young quarterbacks who got drafted. But, man, right off the top of my head, it's looking like Justin Fields might be the most impressive one, going into the near future. So I'm ready to see this young man play. I'm ready to see the Bears, see how they're going to improve. And I'm ready to see how he's going to ball out for years to come for the Chicago Bears. So, Vincent, give me your final thoughts on the young man out of Kennesaw, Georgia, Justin Fields.
You talking about players that come into this league, and there's been some great players that came in the league that you root for. But when I look at Justin Fields, it's everything special about this young man. Tremendous football player, a guy that has all the attributes to really answer every call and every bell that's ringed in his life right now. Comes from a class family out there in Kennesaw, Georgia. A guy that I haven't heard anybody say anything bad about him. Character's off the charts. But think about this with my final words about Justin Fields. He went to Georgia. And granted, maybe he didn't know the offense, and maybe Jake Fromm was a better player in that offense. But when I looked at it, he was not a better football player from an athletic standpoint. Then he goes over to Ohio State. Within 4 months, under new head coach in Ryan Day, and he still kept that team elevated. 41 touchdowns, 3 INTs. And he finished third in the Heisman. Then he comes back in his junior year. They're not even going to play football in the Big Ten, but he was a proponent of them saying we need to play. And he got the Big Ten back to playing in October. He still had a decent season, 22 touchdowns and 6 INTs. But I couldn't believe what I was hearing after that game against Northwestern. Granted, he threw for 97 yards, and he didn't play well. He threw 2 INTs. But to say this young man goes from a potential second overall pick in the 2021 NFL draft to a second-round pick, y'all do the math and read between the lines. But you know what? When the moment was big and Dabo Swinney was chopping, talking about Ohio State didn't deserve to be in the playoffs, what did he do? 22 or 28, 385, 6 touchdowns. And then he falls in the draft. I'm still trying to get my mind twisted of how in the world is Zach Wilson, who played at BYU, Trey Lance, no disrespect to him, who only played 1 season and 1 game. And even some people saying Mac Jones out of Alabama. I get that. But y'all saying all these young men are better than him? Well, I'm going to end it with this. When I was growing up, my mother used to put this song on. This is one of her favorite bands. The band was Undisputed Truth. And it had a song like this. And this comes from my heart to everybody out there about Justin Fields and right now what I'm doing here on 100 Yards of Football. The song goes like this. Smiling faces, smiling faces. They know where they're going. Beware of the pat on your back. It might hold you back. Jealousy, envy. Justin Fields is going to make some noise in the National Football League. That's my final words this morning here on 100 Yards of Football.
I think this young man is going to light up NFL teams for years to come, Vincent. This young man has all the potential in the world to have a stellar NFL career. And I think that he's going to have a good start to kick things off with the Chicago Bears. They have a good squad around them. And they might even they might make a good playoff push if Justin Fields is going to, ball out like he did at Ohio State. So I'm looking forward to see how this young man does. I'm chomping at the bits to seeing how he's going to perform, and I'm ready. Well, hey, if you guys have enjoyed this video here today, thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to like, comment, and share over on our Facebook page, on our YouTube channel, and also our Twitch channel where we do live videos every Monday and Wednesday. You guys know how we do things here. Live. If we mess up, we mess up. That's how we do things here. We don't sugarcoat nothing. Also, go check out our podcast available by the Believe Podcast Network. Check us out over on Spotify. Just type in 100 Yards of Football. Or if you don't enjoy Spotify too much, well, you're in luck because we're also available on Apple Podcasts as well as Spotify or anywhere you listen to your major streaming platforms for your podcast. We have amazing Legends interviews. Check out our draft profiles, old game previews. We have a lot of great content we upload daily over there, and you can check out all of our amazing content. Well, we've been talking about Justin Fields and if he's going to make an impact in 2021. I think that myself and Mr. Football Vincent are both in agreement that this man is going to be a superstar in the NFL. Thank you, Vince, for coming on the show and spewing your wisdom about Mr. Justin Fields. I've been your producer this morning, Logan Landers. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and be sure to stay right here at 100 Yards of Football for some more great content. See you soon.